Welcome, 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 welcome. It is so awesome to see you here this morning. Thank you so much for getting up early. I know those of you who came from the Des Moines area, thank you. God bless you. Iowa City West is in the house. Thank you very much for that extra effort to get here today. Some of you know what's going to happen today, and others of you aren't quite sure. And by the end of the day, it'll all make sense. Trust me. It'll all make sense. Trust me. So, welcome. My name is Alan Heisterkamp, and I have the distinct pleasure of being the director for the Center for Violence Prevention here at the University of Northern Iowa. I have, for the last 4.5 years, worked with colleagues here at this university, as well as at Iowa State, and several Iowa high school districts across the country, across the state, to have conversations and talk about how we as adult leaders and student leaders can work more closely together with our community partners to decrease the incidences of bullying and gender-based violence in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our schools. And we do that, we do that because A, it's the right thing to do, but more importantly, we have to have role models. We have to be able to model and to demonstrate to ourselves and each other that we can make a positive difference. We can do the right thing, but we need the support from our peers. We need support from I need the support from my colleagues in the field. You need support from your peers in your respective school districts, and together we can move mountains. The center was established here in 2011, and this is, I've thought about days like this for the last 15 years. I've spent 31 years actually, in secondary schools as a teacher, a counselor, and a school administrator. The last 15 of those 31 years have been devoted to looking at how can we create days like this where conversations and learning can take place, and then go back to our respective schools and communities and do amazing stuff. And so this is, it's been a long time coming, but we're just getting started. You're just getting started. You are unique. There's not another conference or summit like this in the country today, or any day for that matter. You are unique. You are special. You've taken an invitation to be here. Some of you have volunteered. Some of you are back again, returning as mentors for a second or maybe a third year. And you are such an example and role model to others. We talk about you as student leaders, not just across the state, but across the country, and as you'll discover this morning, across the Atlantic Ocean and to other countries. If you haven't already done so, please be creative and make a name tag for yourself. Does everybody have tools and materials to do such? Please use those. If you do not, could Michael, yes, Dr. Fleming, I think we have some extra ones. If you have an extra name tag and string on your table, could you hold that up and we can get it to the students who need it? Thank you. Our sponsors, those who help support this work here at the center but across the state, the Iowa High School Athletic Association, the UNI ROTC Cadet Command, the Iowa Department of Public Health, which is helping fund this event along with Verizon. And also, I have to give a shout out to our fraternities here, specifically the SIG-EPs on our campus, who will be doing a breakout session today. Their leadership has absolutely expanded and grown over the last 2 or 3 years. Thank you. We have a couple more folks here that have extras. Dr. Fleming, are we okay? We're fine. Thank you very much. Today's breakout sessions, on your table, there are 2 or 3 sheets that describe in more narrative form the sessions that you'll have an opportunity after you hear Graham Goulden from Scotland share some of his thoughts this morning. But he'll also be doing a breakout session, as you'll see, on cyberbullying and sexting. And you'll see also, too, we have Dr. Gary Goody and Deanna Goody will be doing a session on problem solving. That should say problem solving up there at the top. Creativity and problem solving. Again, the description is on that sheet of paper on your desk, on your table. Joan Thompson and Bobby Dennis will be talking about being advocates and being, how can you be a resource for your friends, your classmates, your teammates on issues related to prevention, but also in the event that abuse happens or abuse occurs, what can you do as a good friend? Where can you help support? How can you help support, and where can you help that person get some resources that he or she may need? Dr. Annette Lynch will be talking about gender and power and sexuality, and be looking at Halloween costumes and what does all that say? What does all that mean? We also have, again, our CGAPs talking about leadership and prevention, how they as an organization of young men on this campus are helping expand the conversation around prevention and what role do they play in leadership. And we we're fortunate to have Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Keith here from the ROTC talking about, he'll be doing an activity that we do in our MVP trainings on the different types of abuse and respect, and what that means to be in terms of an active bystander. What's that look like and sound like? We're getting down here too. We have Chad Ellsbury from the Iowa High School Athletic Association, who works with a lot of different high schools. Maybe some of you have had Chad into your school building talking to you as student leaders around prevention or around leadership and sports and sportsmanship. So we're blessed to have Chad here with us today. And one of the other awesome activities we have for breakouts is our ROTC cadets will be doing some low ropes and team building activities right here in this ballroom with you today. And it's the hope that these activities that you do, that you take them back with you to your respective schools and use them with your mentees, use them with the younger peers in your school in terms of team building, relationship building, all those things that connect you as a student body together. So you'll get some really good ideas for that today as well. And finally, during the last session, there's 3 breakout sessions, but during the last sections, we have our colleagues John and Amber from Family Life Center near the, I think it's Ames or Des Moines area. We'll be talking about the topic around sex and human trafficking. And there's a group called Teens Against Trafficking, if you didn't know that, that's based here in Iowa. There's a lot of conversation happening around trafficking, and the more we know, the more preventative we can be and really help those who need support and need a way to make some changes and to find a new breath of fresh air, if you will. But the trafficking conversation is continuing to grow, and we wanted you to know more about it or have the opportunity to know more about it today with that breakout session. I'll be setting up a tchat.io today and the hashtag MVP Summit 2016. Watch for questions that I'll be posing, and feel free to share and communicate with one another. We'll also be trying to tap into your colleagues, your peers in Scotland today as well, with the connection with Graham. So we hope to have some MVP mentors in Scotland connecting with us here today. And we're also on Facebook. Our Center for Violence Prevention, our MVP group here at Northern Iowa, shares a lot of information about that. So take advantage of those resources as well. If I could just share briefly about in your packets. There's a 2-sided sheet. One, it has the overall agenda for the day. On the back side, you'll see the breakout sessions. And what I'm going to say this twice, once now and then once before we break for a breakout session, but we will need you to divide yourself evenly downstairs in those breakout sessions where we have between 25 and 30 students per session. We have 8 breakout sessions, and so we need you to spread yourselves out accordingly. You'll get a chance to go through 2 breakout sessions downstairs and then also participate in the low ropes and team building activities here in the ballroom with the ROTC cadets. But we need your help in balancing those out. On your folder, on the back side of your folder, you'll see a number, 1, 2, or 3. If you have a number 1, could you raise your hand real quickly? Thank you, hands down. If you have a number 2, could you raise your hand? 2. Thank you. And then 3. 3's raise your hand. All right, thank you. What these numbers mean, number 1, first breakout session. After Graham's keynote session and after a final words of encouragement from myself, group number 1 will stay in here and do the low ropes and leadership building activities with the ROTC cadets. Group number 2, you'll be in the ballroom during the second breakout session. And finally, group number 3, you'll be in the breakout session right after lunch. So that's how we divide you up into 3 groups. There's about 100 of you in each group. So it's important that you follow this number and make it go to the session on that this number designates. And the remaining 200 students then will go downstairs below us here and even yourselves out with the remaining 8 breakout sessions. And here's the strategy for doing that. You'll choose 2. When you leave this place today and can reconvene back in your respective schools, you have an opportunity to share with your peers what you learned in your breakout session. So I want you to think about what were the takeaways and what were the things that stood out to you most as it related to those sessions. Be prepared to go back to your school and reconvene with your colleagues and your peers, the other mentors in your group here, and share with them what you learned in your breakout session. And that way we can kind of divide and share the information, but choose 2, and then you'll be up here for your third session. I'd like to introduce the right thing here. There we go. It takes a lot of support and it takes a lot of coordination from this university to pull off a day like today. And part of the day is being also sponsored in-house, but also with our Office of Admissions. And so I'd like to welcome Matt Krager here to the stage. Matt is an assistant vice president in charge of student enrollment, and we're pleased to have him here. But to give our official UNI University welcome. Matt.
Thank you, Alan. How's everybody doing this morning? Good. Let's try that one more time. How's everybody doing this morning? Excellent. Excellent. We're so glad to have you here on campus today. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. But more importantly, thank you. Thank you for the work that you have done in the past. And for those of you that are new, thank you for the work that you will do in the future. And I say that to you not from the University of Northern Iowa, but more so as a community member and a father of 2 children. What you guys learn and do today will be important because it's all about helping other people, right? And throughout our lives, we've all had people help us along the way. And the older you get, the one thing we all have in common is this: the more other people help us out along the way in our journey. So thank you for being here. I want to get to know a little bit more about our audience in here, and I'm sure there's a lot of people at the tables kind of wondering, who else am I sitting with today, right? So my high school seniors, raise your hands. High school seniors, excellent. Seniors, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if you have already started applying to colleges for next year. Most all of them are up, fantastic. My hope for many of you is that UNI is one of the institutions that you'll be applying to next year. Yes, there you go. Why is that? Why is that? Because UNI does a phenomenal job of providing an outstanding education at an affordable price. You are very, very lucky. You have 3 very different, very unique state universities within our fine state to choose from. But we hope that you'll find after being here today that UNI is the right fit for you. High school juniors, raise your hands. High school juniors, good. Juniors, now keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if this is the first time you've been on the UNI campus. Ooh, about a third of you. Thank you for being here for the first time. For those of you that just put your hands down, welcome back to campus. We're glad to have you. So as you guys are thinking about colleges, some of you guys may be thinking too, after today, I think, you know what? Maybe I want to spread my wings. Maybe I've got the confidence. Maybe I want to go. Maybe I want to leave the state of Iowa. I want to tell you about a program that I shared with my good new friends from Marshalltown High School. Give it up, girls. Marshalltown right there. Yep. I want to share with you all a program that I found out about a college student too late in the process, and it's called the National Student Exchange. It's a program that gives you the opportunity to study at another college or university in the United States. Every state in the United States has at least one institution that participates. Some have multiple. We are fortunate in that the University of Northern Iowa participates in this. You have the chance to go study for another semester or another year at one of those participating colleges and universities, and you pay the same tuition rate you pay here at UNI. So if you think your world is big and you want to experience it all, consider that program. And why I want to tell you that, because I don't want you to find out about it too late and you've started too far down the road of the college search process without knowing that UNI has that opportunity available for you. Thanks again for being here today. Thanks for what you're going to do to help out your fellow students, and have a fantastic time on campus. Go Panthers.
We are blessed to have outstanding representation in Des Moines for us here in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, in eastern Iowa. Actually, Senator Danielson is an advocate for students and schools all across the state. And it is my pleasure to, I appreciate Senator Danielson's support and the way in which he holds education at a very high level of importance, and he is an excellent reminder for the other representatives and senators in the state of Iowa just how important education is. And so please help me welcome to the stage Senator Jeff Danielson.
Thank you, Alan. Dr. Heisterkamp, thank you. Thank you to the organizers. Go Panthers. All right, all right. We're going to work on you. I'm proud to be a double alum of the University of Northern Iowa, but I also went to community college, Hawkeye Community College, and I was born and raised here in the local area. My mom raised 5 boys on her own. She was on welfare for a little while until she later remarried a wonderful Navy man who I followed in his footsteps, a life of service, basically. I'm a firefighter here in Cedar Falls, 6 years in the Navy, and I just consider the Senate work another extension of that service. Like Matt, I want to thank you, but I also want to ask you to do more. I want to thank you for your leadership. You are already making a difference. Is anybody here a part of the State of Iowa Youth Advisory Council, SIAC? Okay. Your high school students, I don't see any, but your high school students are leading a statewide effort to change the laws to give you tools to prevent dating violence, other gender violence, and other issues that you are bringing to the forefront. And it's important work. Last session, the Iowa Senate passed 50-0. And if you think it's easy to get a bill passed unanimously in the Capitol, come down for a day and walk around with me. It's not easy. But your leadership, high school students, got passed out of the Iowa Senate by 50-0, a gender and dating violence prevention bill that says in your science-based sex education classes there will be something taught about how to prevent dating violence and sexual assault violence. It didn't go anywhere in the House, so we have work to do. But that's a significant step forward with a subject matter that, quite frankly, in the Capitol, too many elected officials are ignoring and can walk away from. So keep up your leadership. If you're not aware of SIAC, the State of Iowa Youth Advisory Council, and you're interested in something like that, reach out to me. You can Google, internet, Twitter, right? Get a hold of me, and I'll help you find out how to do that. Let me also ask you to do something more. Who here is eligible to vote? High school students. Okay? A lot of you are juniors, so it's just around the corner. Guess what? In Iowa, you can participate at 17 in the caucus process as you lead up to being able to vote in the general election, so take advantage of that. We actually passed a law out of the Senate that said you could participate in primaries if you are not yet 18, so that you can help select who those candidates would be. Take advantage of that. Hold up your hands again, who's eligible to vote? Okay, who's planning on voting? Socially acceptable answer is to say yes, right? We know that. Guess what? In your peer group, only 1 in 5 actually vote. Guess what that means? Guys like me look around at who actually votes and say, do they think it's important? Did they want to participate? Sadly, that number is remembered later, but you have a chance to do something about it. The interesting thing about democracy is it is not a given. It's not preordained. It only works when you participate. Democracy is not a spectator sport. And you saw the number of hands that went up. That wasn't very many, right? Guess what? The world is run by the people who show up. That is a life's lesson in both politics and everything else that you will do in life. So I think your voice matters, and your vote is your voice. So encourage people in your age group to actually vote. And I know this isn't a fun time right now. I know that. I have to deal with that during the campaign. But you know what? The things that you're learning here today, that bullying is not acceptable in any setting, you could probably teach us a thing or two about politics and bullying. Yes. We're seeing far too much rhetoric and bullying in politics these days. I think we ought to have a simple formula. Do your homework, treat people decent, and try to solve problems. Lift people up rather than tear them down. Hopefully you get a chance to learn those things, and I look forward to seeing you out and about. Thank you for your leadership, and go Panthers.
Before our keynote speaker, I have the privilege of introducing to you a colleague of mine whom I've met recently in my work as a board member on the Cedar Valley Friends of the Family, which serves homeless and provides a shelter for women and children where it's not safe for them to be at home. You're going to meet Derrick in just a second, but I'm also had an opportunity this last week to have one of those moments that was totally unexpected. I used to be a school principal in Sioux City, Iowa, and at North High School, there was a young man there who was a mentor, like you, only about 4 or 5 years ago. And he happened to come into my office, and we got reacquainted. Josh Dirks in the back. Josh is a student here in Northern Iowa. And I think about the young men and young women that I had the privilege of knowing and working with and helping train years ago, and to know that they're thriving, they're doing well, that this is an important topic to them, not just as mentors, but as college students and after graduation, on in his personal and professional life. And so, Josh, thanks for reaching out to me and reconnecting. And it's in that spirit that I want to introduce our next speaker to give a short welcome. Derrick, could you come forward? You're going to meet Derrick Stephens, who works as the development director for the Cedar Valley Friends of the Family. And I wanted you to know who Derrick is, what he does, and why he does it. And his leadership is something that really is touching, it's moving, but it's also inspirational. And so Derrick, thanks for taking some time out of your morning to stop by and say hi, but help me welcome Derick Stephens.
All right, good morning. How is everybody doing today? All right, you gotta do better than that. Like, I got hyped for this last night. I was listening to Jay Dina, Long Live the Chief, in my bedroom, like dancing, ironing my clothes. Like, y'all gotta get hyped. How are you all doing this morning? All right, there, I like that. So, like Ellen said, my name is Derick Stephens. Thank you all for allowing me to come up and speak to you all this morning about leadership and about our role in that. I work for a nonprofit that provides safe shelter for survivors of sexual assault, domestic abuse, and homelessness, and we now start working with the human trafficking population as well. That's not my background. I was a business major. We're on UNI's campus. I went to Wartburg. Go Knights in the building. All right, no. So my role, my background isn't in human service, but I have a role in changing the outlook of the world. And that's what I decided one day a few years ago. I said, what can I do to change this world? What can I do to better leave this world in a better shape than what I left it? And that's what today is for a lot of you all, is figuring out what your role is. if we look around the room right now and I say, what do you all see? You'd say, I see Derrick Stephens. Since you all don't know who I am, I'm going to make sure that we kind of know who I am at the end of this, since I'm a newbie. We'd say we see athletes, we see scholars, we see writers, we see men, women, fathers, mothers, and probably a lot of other things. One thing that I don't know that we'd say is we see power in this room. And more specifically, we see the power of change. Young people, I can't say that I'm young anymore. I'm in my 30s, so I can't say that. But young people, you have an amazing power of change. The things that you can do, the way that you can move this vehicle forward is immense. Look at the things that you all have started and that, just like Jeff has said, that we can learn from and we can take from. So today, as you're going through all of your sessions, start thinking about that. What's my role? What can I do? How can I move this forward? Every morning, I ask myself that question. Well, I ask myself 2 questions every single morning. First question, when I wake up, I say, is what I'm going to wear today going to get me in GQ magazine? It's the very first question I ask myself. So far, that hasn't worked out. But the second question that I ask myself is what I'm going to do today going to help change the world? And that answer is yes. The agency that I work for, Cedar Valley Friends of the Family, every single day, the work that we do helps change the life of somebody. When you look around at your teachers, at your mothers, at your fathers, what they do for you every single day helps change the world, and you can be that for somebody else. So like I said, today you're going through all these amazing breakout sessions. Open your minds. Really invest and ask yourself the tough question, what can I do to move this vehicle forward? How can I be a voice for the voiceless? How can I help people who need my help? All right, well, thank you very much, and I'm really excited for the work that you all are going to do today and throughout the rest of your lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Derrick. How many of you were able to attend last year's very first inaugural MVP Summit here? All right. Thank you. Well, we have brought back our keynote, Graham Goulden. I met Graham a handful of years ago. He came across from Scotland. We met at Boston. We had a conversation about student leadership around prevention, working with youth and adults in schools and communities to make a better world, as Derrick just challenged us to think about. And it has been a pleasure to get to work with and to know Graham Goulden. Please help me give a very warm Iowa welcome to our favorite Scotsman, Graham Goulden.
Amen. Good to see you. Thank you. Am I switched on? Am I tucked in? I'm really feeling a bit untidy this morning. What's been said so far this morning is really, I think, a fantastic introduction to what I'm going to talk about. You know, Jeff talked about your role as leaders of change. Look at the title of my presentation. You know, one day a generation will rule a population. That is fact. You know, I've come into the United States at a time where there's lots going on, isn't there? There's lots happening. I've come from a United Kingdom where we've had lots happening in the past. You know, my country, Scotland, went through an independence referendum a few years ago. We didn't get independence, and a lot of that was down to young people didn't come out to vote. Because what we found when we looked at the statistics after the election was that the older generation wanted to be safe. The younger generation talked about wanting to sort of take a chance and do something different, but they didn't turn out on the day. So going back to what Jeff says, you have the power. People who have the power to vote, make sure you use the vote. I'm going to start with a short film made by a young boy who's 13 years old, who I think is wanting to change the world.
Run away with me. Lost souls in revelry. Running wild, running free. And you kids, you and me. I said, yeah, living like we're renegades. Yeah, living like we're renegades, renegades. Long live the pioneers, rebels and mutineers. Go forth and have no fear. Come close and lend an ear. I say, yeah, living like we're renegades. Yeah, living like we're renegades.
Have you ever cyberbullied anyone? Have you ever been cyberbullied? Have you ever witnessed cyberbullying? 100% of teenagers answer yes to at least one of those questions. So that means everybody has a part to play to help stop this needless behavior online. Play your part by using stop, block, tell. Stop. Stop and think before posting something online that might be upsetting to someone. Think about how you would feel if you were in their position. Block. If you are a victim of cyberbullying, block and report the person that has been bullying you. Tell. If you think you're being cyberbullied, report the person that's bullying you to a parent, guardian, or teacher. Cyberbullying is not okay. Nobody deserves it, and we can all help to put an end to it, for good.
So Luke, 13 years old, he was a victim of cyberbullying, and he thought to himself, I need to get some help to sort of deal with this problem. And he's not just speaking to people in his school, he's speaking to everybody in this audience today. Absolutely every single one of us have got the opportunity and the ability to get involved in this work, and that's what you're doing here today. Hands up if you were mentors last year. This is your second, so this is your second year. Did you have fun? Yeah, this is fun. We're talking about some really difficult subjects, but this is fun stuff. And like Luke, with yourself, you guys are going to change how people think and how people are going to look at what's happening in this world. I come from Scotland. This is the stereotype of Scotland. You know, I used this slide last year, but when people think of Scots, they often think of kilts and red hair. I don't have red hair, as you can probably see, but we have major issues in Scotland with violence. We're getting a lot better, but we have had big problems in the past. And violence is part of what we're about in Scotland. And we've worked really hard to get rid of that badge of shame that we call it. And the young people are at the heart of that. I'm a police officer. I don't know if you can spot the 19-year-old boy, as I call myself. That's me there. That was back in 1987. I joined the police as a 19-year-old boy. I get to retire next year. It's fantastic. I get to do a whole career, and I'll only be 49 years old, see if you've done the math. So it's a fantastic. But one thing I've really come to realize that when we talk about violence, policing just touches the surface. We will never police our way out of issues that we see in our society when we're talking about violent crime. We don't have police cars like that in Scotland. Sorry, we don't have racing cars. It took me a good, I would say, 20 years to really start to get the fact that we are never going to change the world if we keep employing police officers. We need police officers, we need that, but policing will never solve our issues. You're part of that solution. The work that you do is vital. Prevention starts in a community, whether that community be a town like Waterloo or Cedar Falls or wherever, or whether it be in a school, your school, or whether it be in a university or in a workplace. That's where prevention starts. Hands up if you're here today with a friend. Put your hands, raise your hands, raise. Yeah. We have friends here today. I hope the friends are here today, right? It's about looking out for each other. I think we've lost a little bit of that in our communities, that ability to look out for each other, to have people's backs. And if I was to be asked what MVP means to me, it's simple. It's about healthy relationships. That's MVP. It's about building healthy relationships between people, between classmates, teammates, college students, wherever in the workplace. That's what MVP is about, healthy, secure relationships. Because if you have a healthy relationship, you can do anything you want in the world. If you're suffering from abuse, from bullying, you will struggle. So we need, as a team, as a class, to really start to come together. One thing that I want you to start really thinking about today and over the next few weeks and months and years when you keep doing this work is think about the why. You know, why do you do this work? What is your why? This is my why. These are my girls. These are my daughters, Jennifer and Alice. You know, Jennifer's 25 years old, Alice is 21, and I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking, how can a guy so young have daughters at 25 and 21, yeah? That's exactly what it's about. But that's my why. When you do this work, you need to have a why. It's easy, the what is easy. The what is about doing MVP, but for you to do it really properly, you need to have a why. Why is this doing? Do you know people who've been affected by bullying, by abuse? Have you friends, have you family members who are suffering? That is your why. Because you want to make a difference not only in their lives, but in their friends' lives, and your family's lives, and in your community's lives. Have the why, and the why is often from here, from the heart. I started developing MVP Scotland back in 2011. I started talking to Alan Heisterkamp about 2010, 2011, and we're now, we have 300 high schools in Scotland. That might not sound a lot for a country, a whole country, but we're in about 35% of those schools doing MVP. We have roughly 2,500 young people like yourself doing the same work. They've embarked on, they've volunteered for mentoring, they've been trained, and they're doing some peer-to-peer sessions within their classes. You know, the word leadership has been badged about and talked about a lot. I don't look at young people as mentors, you're leaders. You're leaders in your communities. These are some of our mentors from Glasgow who do they do fantastic work in developing the MVP program. Last year in Scotland we had, well, this year we're going to have 2,500 mentors. Last year in Scotland we had 1,500 mentors who delivered around about 1,000 classes, 1,000 MVP sessions to well over 10,000 young people in Scotland. I sometimes say that these leaders are actually vaccinating the communities through good role modeling. But like when you vaccinate a person against a disease, you're spreading powerful messages. You're role modeling positive behavior that is a bit like a drug. It's powerful. It spreads. So never underestimate the power that you guys are having within this work. And some fantastic pictures. We have mentors who start mentoring at 16, and they'll do 16 when they're 16 and when they're 17. And they're going into classes with 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds talking about all the issues that you'll talk about today. And we have fun with them. Because MVP is a program that is not just about talking about bullying, it's equipping you with life skills when you go to university, when you go into the workplace. Never underestimate the power and the skills that you're going to develop over the next few years. So, we have young people in Scotland like you, young people in Sweden. Alan and I have been working in Sweden with schools. So you're not alone. Sometimes when you do this work, it can be quite, I think it can feel quite daunting that you're on your own. Look around the room today. You're not on your own. Look across the water in Scotland, you're not alone. And further afield into Sweden, you're definitely not alone. So really think about that. One thing that we've found with MVP is, you know, that notion, the most powerful weapon on the earth is the human soul on fire. When you start your training, when you start to, you know, go into MVP sessions, you will start to think totally differently. I can guarantee that. You will start to see things that you will not be able to unsee because you have put a pair of glasses on and you cannot take those glasses off. There's a bit, have you seen the film The Matrix? You know the film The Matrix, when you take the red pill and everything becomes clear? That's what MVP is like. It just makes everything sound really clear. Now that quote I used at the start, one day a population is going to rule one day a generation is going to rule a population, that came from this singer-songwriter John Mayer. I don't think anybody sort of realized that. And he wrote a song called Waiting to Change the World. And towards the end of the song is this line, one day our generation is going to rule a population. It might sound really, really daunting to think that we're putting this in your hands, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Leadership is hard. Leadership takes courage. It takes confidence. It takes a good amount of awareness, but you can do that. You can do this, and my experiences of the last few years doing MVP with young people is that you are more than capable of doing this work. I don't know if does anybody know about Tank Man? Anybody heard of Tank Man? Hands up if you know what Tank Man is. What's Tank Man? In China. Yeah. This was a guy who stood in front of a tank. Well, the picture on the paper in the media on that day in Tiananmen Square, I think in the 1980s it was that's what we saw. We saw this was a single man, doing this with a tank, and the tank moving backwards and forwards to try and get around him. Now, people often think, well, what did he achieve? And he achieved something in China. But what he achieved around the world was that he taught people, he showed people that there's a way to influence, there's a way to change, there's a way to inspire. This is the picture that you don't see very often. That's the picture that you don't see very often. He stood not just in front of one or two tanks. Look at the tanks that he stood in front of. Because he knew that these tanks were going to potentially to do something to people that he cared about. He took a stand, and on that day, he achieved a lot more than what I think he realized. And he should be inspiring people like you to believe that this is so possible. But like Luke Collane in the film that you saw at the very start, that ability to make a stand, to get support from people like yourself. He took a stand against that, and he's inspired lots and lots of people. I go back to what I said at the start. It's not what, but why you do it. You're going to be going into classes with mentors, with young peers. I think this quote from Simon Sinek talks about people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This guy does a lot of leadership training around people selling products. I would actually say that you're selling things as well. You're selling a way of life. You're selling a belief system. That's why I said right at the very start, you need to have a why. So when you start to work with young people, you really get them on board with what you're doing. Why do young people come to school? Can I ask a question? Why do people go to school? What's the purpose of school? To learn? Build relationships, and that is it. Young people come to school not just for the academic achievement, they come to school to have, to form relationships. And something we've done in Scotland over the last few years is how we can, because I used to do MVP and really come at it from a policing perspective. I used to talk about, this is about reducing violence in Scotland. But I very quickly realised that I need to talk a bit of in a different language around with head teachers in schools. Schools are in the business of bringing young people together to build healthy relationships. If you get healthy relationships right, learning takes place. If we don't have healthy relationships in schools, young people will struggle. You will struggle. And some of you may have experienced these types of incidents in the past, so they will struggle. That's the why we need to be doing this type of work. Young people are going to look. This is one of my favorite photographs that I found online. Is it going to work? What do you think? Young people are going to follow. We are social beings, right? We look to other people's behavior and how that will influence our behavior. You're going into classes to work with young people who are going to be looking at you about behavior. You're the person that's going to direct them in how they behave. You're the role model. Never underestimate that. I was in Alan's house at the weekend, watching, is it the 42? Is that what it was called? The 42? You've seen the 42? And there's this, Jackie Robinson, the baseball player. And I just loved some of the things that was sort of taking place in that film. And I looked at some of his quotes, and I like this one. A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. You will have an impact on people's lives in the way that you'll probably never think about just now. Young mentors in Scotland are shaping the next generation. I've no doubt about it. Because we're seeing in Scotland more people talking about issues of bullying, dating violence, sexual assault. We're talking about things like pornography in our schools now. Issues that are impacting on young people, making it difficult for them to be the young people that they actually want to be. And I'll leave you with this quote here. This is an American educationalist, and some of the teachers might get this. And this is a message to the teachers. This is why MVP is so important. So important. No significant learning will take place without a significant relationship. And that's not just about a relationship between the teacher and the young person. It's the relationship between the mentor and the younger person. Because if we don't get relationships right, in schools, we will never have the future senators, the future principals, the future police officers, the future president, because we need young people to be safe and secure in school. And MVP is going to deliver that for you all. I've no doubt about that. It's doing that in Scotland. Young people are staying in school longer, they're attaining, they're achieving, and that can only be good for your country. So enjoy your day today. I'm looking forward to doing my workshop around sexting and cyberbullying and whatnot, having some fun with that discussion. So have a great day, have a fantastic day, and let's have a chat. Come up to me and have a chat if you want to during the day. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.